Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Amarachi. I'm a grad student in the US, and on this channel I share useful tips about moving to the US as well as documenting my grad school journey. So if this is something you'd be interested in, please consider subscribing. To my returning subscribers, hello, I'm back. I know I've been away for a while, but I've been dealing with the actual reason why I'm in this country, aka grad school. But now things have slowed down a little bit and I'm finally able to make content again. So today's video is going to be about some myths or misconceptions surrounding the US student visa, the F1 visa especially. And this is based on questions that I've gotten time and time again, or just, things that have arisen out of conversations with others. I'll be addressing all of these misconceptions in this video. The very first thing is people thinking that having full funding guarantees a visa approval. So full funding means like your tuition fee is covered by the school, your cost of living as well, or like all of your living expenses. Basically every single thing concerning you is being funded by the school that you're attending. This does not guarantee automatic visa approval. Yes, having funding, some sort of funding, increases your chances, makes it easier to plead your case, but you still need to demonstrate like strong home ties. You still need to prove the legitimacy of your intentions before your visa can get approved. So when you go for a US visa interview, the visa officer is trying to determine three main things. The first is that you have the financial ability to support yourself while you're studying in the US. The second is that you have strong home ties. So this means that, after studying, you're going to return to your home country, and this isn't just a way for you to immigrate, because the study visa is a non-immigrant visa. And the third is that you're actually going to study like you said you have. So this is like proving the legitimacy of your intention. So while you have funding, if you have funding, full funding, that kind of solves the first problem, right? But you still need to demonstrate these two other things that the visa officers are looking out for. I've seen people with full funding get rejected. So definitely having full funding doesn't automatically guarantee a visa approval. The second thing is going off of the first, which is that only people with funding, either full or partial, get approved. And that is not true at all. People with zero funding have gotten approved. This all ties back to what I said in the first point of proving these three things that the visa officers are looking out for during your interview. The third misconception is that you cannot get approved after you've been denied once or twice, and this is not true. So there are different reasons for rejection. Sometimes your profile is good, like everything is in order, and honestly it was just not your day. You could get rejected. Sometimes you've done something very obvious that has led to a rejection, but you definitely can get approved after a rejection. I know people who have gotten approved maybe like on their fourth try. It's just time consuming, and like it's also pretty expensive to keep applying, but you definitely can get an approval after a previous rejection. The fourth thing is that you need a medical examination before the interview. I've personally gotten a lot of messages asking about this, and I found this to be a little bit odd because you definitely do not, right? The embassy, the consulate doesn't care about that. That's not one of the requirements to get interviewed. If you have to do anything like medically related, like getting some tests done, getting some examinations, this is going to be requested solely by the school. Like this is something that concerns your school. It has nothing at all to do with the visa application or your visa interview. The next misconception is that you need to show proof of funds even with full funding. So to clarify, full funding is when your complete cost of attendance is covered. You don't have any deficit at all. If this is the case, then you're not funding yourself. Like you don't have to pay any deficit. The embassy doesn't expect you to show any proof of funds or like, how to support yourself when you're in the US. However, if you have any sort of deficit, please go with bank statements that shows that you can support yourself. This could either be, if you're sponsoring yourself, then it will be your bank statement, or if your parents or whoever is sponsoring you, then that would be their bank statement. The sixth misconception is that providing a bank statement with huge sums of money guarantees an approval. So as you can see, most of the points that I'm talking about revolve around funding, money, all of this. That's because funding is a huge aspect of the interview process and, of the approval process. So it's like one of the things that plays the biggest role. Anyway, just having a bank statement with massive sums of money doesn't really guarantee much. I'm Nigerian, so I'm going to talk about Nigeria specifically. Unfortunately, the visa officers already have the conception that whatever documents that you're presenting probably would be counterfeit. They will be faked, they will be forged, so they do not place a lot of emphasis on these documents. They actually hardly ask to look at your bank statement because unfortunately those could be like falsified pretty easily, so they don't really pay attention to that. What this means is that if your entire plan is just to show them this bank statement that has millions and millions of naira flowing through it, you might run into problems, because at your interview you need to be able to convince the visa officer by the things that you say, the things that come out of your mouth, that they should approve your visa, because like I said, they probably would not look at those documents that you've brought with you. And how do you do this? One of the commonly asked questions is, how do you plan to fund your studies? If you have a deficit or if you don't have any funding at all, you have to say how you plan to fund your studies, right? And the best way to go about this is to say like, XYZ is my sponsor, they do XYZ and they earn XYZ amount, right? So for example, if your parents are going to be a sponsor, you could say, my parents are my sponsor, they own this business and their total annual income is X. Just say this orally because again, visa officer probably is not going to look at those documents. A very important thing to note, this isn't just related to bank statements, but any documents at all. Please do not offer any documents that you've not been asked for, because this just signals some sort of desperation to the visa officers, and they are likely to think that why are you, like, I haven't asked you for these things, why are you offering the documents? That might hurt your application or your interview. So don't offer any documents that you haven't been asked to show. If you're enjoying the video so far, you found it useful so far, please just take a moment, give this video a like. It really does help the algorithm. It makes my video get shown to other people on YouTube, and subscribe if you're not subscribed already. Also, if you're going through the process of applying to grad school in the US and you're not sure where to start, you have certain questions that you want answered and stuff like that, consider joining my Telegram group. I have a Telegram group, link is going to be in the description below, where I interact more personally with people. You can also find other people who are on this journey and you can ask them questions and just learn from each other. So the next misconception, and this is a big one, is that using agencies for your application guarantees an approval. Big fat no. I strongly advise against using agents and agencies, because honestly, this entire process, especially just the visa application part, is pretty straightforward. You just need to fill out an application form on the website, include all of your details, and then you need to secure an interview date. I advise against using agents because there is a high likelihood for mistakes, right? So imagine an agent that has, 10 clients. You guys have sent in all of your details. Things can get mixed up very quickly. And this is going to hurt you, because if an agent has filled in wrong information on your application form in your DS-160, when you go for your interview and you're asked a question from that form, and what you're saying and what is on the form isn't matching up, you're in trouble, because your visa is not going to get approved. The sad part about this is that when your visa gets denied, you actually do not get an exact explanation of what happened or why you were not approved. So if it's just a lack of correlation between what is on your form and what you said at the interview, if you don't go back to check, you may never know, and like you just keep trying and trying and trying, and your visa is just not going to get approved. So please do this process by yourself, at least filling out the application form part. If you do use an agent, maybe to secure an interview date, because those might not be easy to come by, just know that that's where the work of the agent ends. Like what actually happens on the day of the interview is between you, the visa officer, and your God. Like nothing else. Like the agent doesn't play a role. The agent doesn't influence the outcome of the interview, at least positively in this way. Like no, they don't have that power or that authority. Next misconception is that only students with like outstanding grades, so like top students, excellent students, get their visa approved. This is not true, because the visa officer actually doesn't know anything about your grades or about basically like about your academic standing. That concerns the admissions team at the school or schools that you've applied to. So if the admissions team at a school has looked at your profile and they decided, oh, okay, you're eligible for admission, that's great, right? That's where your grades and all of that come into play. If you get admitted and you decide to go to a school, you're going to be issued an I-20. That I-20, that document doesn't contain anything about your grades. So the visa officer knows nothing about that. So don't worry about that. Like if you don't have good grades, that doesn't affect the outcome of your visa interview. And the final misconception is that the interview is this like long, extensive, drawn out thing. It's not. Everything happens in like 2 minutes or less. What is actually going to waste your time is like all of the processes that you have to go through before you actually get interviewed. Usually because there are lots of people, first you have to get checked to be sure that you actually have an appointment on that day, you have all your documents, all of that. Even when you finally enter the consulate itself, there's a lot of waiting, especially if you're not one of the first people for the day, you stand in line, there's a lot of waiting around that's going on. But when you actually appear in front of a visa officer, that process is very fast. 2 minutes or less. So what this means is that you need to be prepared to the T. Like you need to know the answers to the questions that you're going to get asked. Like you need to know them so well, like almost as well as knowing your name. If somebody wakes you up in your sleep, like, why are you going to the US? You need to be able to blurt out that answer very quickly. And if you have no idea about what questions that you could potentially get asked, check out my video here, and I'll also link it in the description box. It contains most of the commonly asked questions at the visa interview. So make sure you check out that video, watch it, practice your responses to this question, and good luck. That's it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, you know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe. Very importantly, if you think that there are other misconceptions that you've heard about the interview on the application process, please leave it in the comment section so others can learn from it as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.